Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today, we are tackling a topic that brings together several important and closely related structures in English. These structures all involve the word have, but each one does something very different. And learners often confuse them, combine them incorrectly, or avoid them because they feel uncertain. By the end of today, that uncertainty is going to be gone.
Yes, and what makes this topic so satisfying is that once you understand how have works in each of these structures, you will see that English is actually very logical. Each form has its own clear job, and they all fit together in a way that makes sense.
The structures we are covering today are have to, having to, and have been having, plus a past participle. Let us take each one carefully.
Let's start with have to. This is one of the most important modal-like structures in English. Have to expresses obligation or necessity. It means something is required. It is necessary. You must do it.
I have to finish this report by tomorrow. It is required. There's no choice. Have to.
She has to take the medicine twice a day. It's medically necessary. She does not have a choice. Have to.
They have to renew their passports before the trip. It is required for travel. Obligatory. Have to.
Have to is different from must in an important way. Must usually comes from the speaker's own authority or decision. Have to usually comes from an external rule, situation, or requirement.
I must exercise more. My own decision, my own motivation. I have to exercise more. My doctor said so, or some external circumstance requires it.
Both express obligation, but must is more personal and internal. Have to is more external and situational.
Now, let me go through the forms of have to across tenses, because this is where many learners make mistakes.
Present. I have to, you have to, we have to, they have to. He has to, she has to, it has to. Third person singular takes has to.
Past. Had to. For all subjects. I had to, you had to, he had to, she had to, we had to, they had to. Had to expresses past obligation.
I had to work late last night. She had to cancel her plans. They had to wait for 2 hours.
Future. Will have to. I will have to submit it next week. She will have to redo the test. We will have to rethink our approach.
For questions with have to, you use do or does. Do you have to work on Saturday? Does she have to be there? Did they have to pay extra?
And for negatives, do not have to, does not have to, did not have to. And this is very important. Do not have to means something is not necessary. It is not obligatory. It does not mean it is forbidden.
You do not have to come if you don't want to. It's optional. You are not required to come. Not have to means no obligation. Must not means something is forbidden. Very different.
I must not eat that. It is forbidden or strongly advised against. I do not have to eat that. I am not required to eat it, but I can if I want. Completely different meanings from very similar structures.
That must not versus do not have to distinction is one of the most important things in English modal grammar.
Now, let's talk about having to. Having to is the gerund form of have to. It's used in the same situations where any gerund is used. After prepositions, after certain verbs, at the beginning of a sentence as a subject.
Having to wake up early every day is really tiring. Having to is the subject of the sentence. The whole idea of being required to wake up early is tiring. Having to as the subject.
She hates having to ask for help. After the verb hates, you need the gerund form. Hates having to.
I apologized for having to cancel at the last minute. After the preposition for, you need the gerund form for having to.
Despite having to work on weekends, she managed to finish the project. Despite having to, the gerund is needed. Despite having to.
And you can use having to with verbs like enjoy, avoid, mind, consider, dislike. I dislike having to repeat myself. He avoids having to make difficult decisions. Do you mind having to travel so much?
Having to always expresses obligation or requirement, but it's in its gerund form, so it fits into structures that require ing forms.
Now, let's move to the third structure, have been having plus past participle. This is actually two different things. Let me explain.
The structure have been having describes a continuous or repeated experience in the recent past that continues to the present. I have been having trouble sleeping recently. The trouble started before now and continues.
She has been having headaches all week. They have been having problems with the internet connection. He has been having a really difficult time lately.
In all of those, have been having describes an ongoing experience that started in the past and continues or has continued up to the present moment.
Now, the second related structure is have been plus past participle, which is the present perfect passive. This is a different structure. Have been plus the past participle shows that something was done to the subject in the past, and it's relevant now.
The windows have been cleaned. Cleaned is the past participle. The windows received the action of cleaning at some point before now. Present perfect passive.
The report has been submitted, the forms have been filled in, the packages have been sent, all present perfect passive. Something was done and it's complete and relevant now.
So, let me make this clear. Have been having is present perfect continuous, an ongoing experience. I have been having a great time. Have been plus past participle is present perfect passive, an action completed on the subject. The windows have been cleaned.
The difference is in what follows been. If been is followed by having, it's the ongoing experience structure. If been is followed by a past participle, like cleaned, sent, or submitted, it's the passive structure.
Now let me bring all three of our structures together and show you how they might all appear in the same conversation.
Imagine a person talking about their work situation. I have to work very long hours lately. That's have to for current obligation.
Having to stay at the office until 9 every night is exhausting. That's having to as a gerund subject.
I have been having really difficult conversations with my manager about the workload. That's have been having for an ongoing recent experience.
And my request for more resources has been approved. That's have been plus past participle for present perfect passive, showing the approval happened and is now complete and relevant.
4 structures in one realistic story, all natural, all correct, all different.
Now, let me talk about some practical everyday uses of have to that learners should know well.
Have to in instructions and advice. You have to try this restaurant. It's amazing. Here, have to is not about obligation. It's expressing strong recommendation. You just have to read this book.
This softer meaning of have to as strong recommendation comes up constantly in everyday spoken English. You have to see the view from the top. It's incredible, meaning I strongly recommend it. Have to in reactions. It has to be the best film I have ever seen. Here, have to means it must be. It can only be. This is a very natural expression of strong opinion or certainty.
This has to be wrong. There has to be a better way. It has to be somewhere in this drawer, all expressing certainty or strong belief.
Now, let me also explain the difference between have to and have got to, because these are both common.
Have to and have got to mean the same thing in terms of obligation. I have to go. I have got to go. Both mean I must leave. I am obligated to leave.
Have got to is slightly more informal and more common in British English. I have got to finish this today. She has got to be at the airport by 6. They have got to sort this out.
In casual spoken English, have got to is often shortened further. I have got to go becomes I gotta go in very informal American speech. I have got to finish this becomes I gotta finish this. But this is very casual, not for formal or written English.
Now let us go through the most common mistakes learners make with these structures.
Mistake number 1 is forgetting that have to changes to has to for third person singular in the present, saying she have to go instead of she has to go. Third person singular always takes has to.
Mistake number 2 is confusing do not have to with must not, saying you do not have to smoke here when you mean smoking is forbidden. The correct phrase is you must not smoke here. Do not have to means no obligation. Must not means prohibition.
Mistake number 3 is not knowing having to as a gerund and using have to in places where the gerund is required, saying she hates to have to explain herself repeatedly, instead of she hates having to explain herself. After hates, the gerund form is needed.
Mistake number 4 is mixing up have been having and have been plus past participle, using have been cleaning when you mean you have been experiencing cleaning difficulties, which doesn't make sense. Have been cleaning is present perfect continuous active. The windows have been cleaned is passive.
Mistake number 5 is not knowing that have to can express strong recommendation in spoken English, hearing you have to try this and thinking someone is being commanding, when actually they're enthusiastically recommending.
Mistake number 6 is using have to instead of had to for past obligation, saying I have to leave early last Tuesday instead of I had to leave early last Tuesday. Past obligation uses had to.
And mistake number 7 is forgetting do and does in questions and negatives with have to, saying she has not to attend instead of she does not have to attend, or asking has she to go instead of does she have to go. Questions and negatives with have to use do, does, and did.
Now, let me also quickly talk about some very natural phrases built around have to.
Give me an example.
Have to admit. I have to admit I was wrong, acknowledging something honestly. Have to say. I have to say I'm impressed, introducing an honest statement. Have to ask. I have to ask what happened exactly, introducing a necessary or curious question.
These expressions soften what follows. I have to admit signals honesty. I have to say signals something genuine is coming. They're very natural and widely used.
There is no have to, meaning there is no obligation or requirement. There is absolutely no have to when it comes to attending. This is an informal way of saying it is completely optional. Now let us do a practice round. I will give you a situation and you choose the right structure and form.
Ready.
Your doctor told you to take medication every morning without fail.
I have to take my medication every morning. Have to for external obligation. Third person would be she has to take it.
You're explaining to someone that waking up at 5 every day for the past month has been really difficult.
Having to wake up at 5 every day for the past month has been exhausting. Having to as a gerund subject describing the ongoing obligation.
The application form was processed and completed before you are now speaking. The application has been processed. Have been plus past participle, present perfect passive showing a completed action with current relevance.
You want to say that it's optional for someone to attend the meeting. You do not have to attend the meeting. Do not have to, meaning no obligation. It is not required.
You want to describe an ongoing recent experience of feeling stressed.
I have been having a stressful few weeks. Have been having for an ongoing continuous experience.
You are recommending a film very enthusiastically.
You have to watch this film. Have to for strong recommendation in informal speech.
Someone asks if you had an obligation to work last Saturday.
Did you have to work last Saturday? Past question with did and have to.
She needed to cancel her appointment because of an emergency, and she's explaining this.
She had to cancel because of an emergency. Had to for past obligation.
Every answer was right and well-reasoned. And listeners, I hope you are working through each one and noticing which structure suited each situation. Have to for obligation and necessity, having to for the gerund situations, have been having for ongoing experiences, have been plus past participle for completed actions in the passive.
Each one has its specific job, and each job is clear once you understand it.
Now let me close with something that I think will help everyone feel settled about these structures.
Please.
Have is one of the hardest working words in the English language. It appears in possession, in perfect tenses, in obligation structures, in passive structures, as a gerund. It does so much. And every time you see it in a sentence, it's worth pausing to notice which job it is doing.
Is it have to, expressing obligation? Is it having to as a gerund? Is it have been having as an ongoing experience? Is it have been plus past participle as a passive? Each one is a distinct grammatical tool with a distinct purpose.
And now you have all 4 tools. You understand what each one does, you have examples to anchor your understanding, and you have the practice to start using them. Learning grammar deeply enough to use it accurately and naturally takes time and exposure, but you are building that depth right now, one structure at a time. Thank you so much for being here today. We hope have to, having to, and have been structures all feel clear and that you feel genuinely confident using all of them correctly.
Keep going, and we'll see you in the next episode.